Hi, this is David Holly. Welcome to Tripodcast, episode 301. It's Monday, August 19th, and Dick Ollek asks, are you profiling your sales and management candidates? No, not like that, but looking for the right tendencies and traits to get the best employees. In this Tripodcast, Dick offers some suggestions and tips for just how to do that. Let's listen in.
I want to talk a bit today about the importance of profiling, particularly profiling management and salespeople in our industry. Now, I'm not talking about profiling cultures or nationalities or religions that we hear so much about in the news. And so if that's where you think I was going, that's not where I'm going. I'm talking about doing a profile exam or a profile questionnaire on people that you want to hire for key positions in your company. I can tell you that if you do that, you'll probably save thousands of dollars in the long run, not to mention the countless hours that you will agonize over maybe making a poor management hiring decision. You know, a questionnaire or a profile questionnaire won't totally tell you which one to hire, but it sure gives you some great insight into that particular individual. If you're already doing it, congratulations. You know the value, and you're probably cutting down a substantial amount of your turnover dollars. So let me tell you about, I'm going to tell a couple stories on myself here, on my own company. Personal examples. One cost me a bundle. The other one avoided what could have been an expensive hiring mistake. So let me give you example number one. I was trying to hire a branch manager for one of my offices in the southwestern part of the United States. And I interviewed this man who had years and years of experience in the industry with a large company, one of those companies with a lot of initials. And at the time, frankly, I was in a desperate need in that city, as we were growing in that city, and I was having to fill the slot myself as the manager, branch manager, and it was in a city that I didn't live in. Even though it was in the southwest U.S., it did force me to commute, and I wanted to get on with my other duties, and so I wanted to get someone put in that spot just as quickly as I could. So in this case, I gave this person a profile questionnaire, and he completed it, and or as much of it as he could, and I sent it on to my home office for grading with a hurry up request. The profile came back as a terrible candidate for this position, and my response was, this can't be. This guy interviewed great, and he understands this position. He's been in this business. Maybe I rushed him into answering the questions, so I'm going to administer the questionnaire again. Well, I did. And this time the results came back even worse than they did before. That with a note from my person in my company that did the grading that he was the worst candidate we'd ever considered for a branch manager's position. What? I said, what? He's questioning my position, my professional interviewing skills? You know, by the way, I mean, I've been doing this for years. I know how to do the interviewing. I know a good candidate when I see one. Well, the fact of the matter is he was questioning my interviewing skills. I wasn't doing so good. And so I said to myself, I know better. Something must be wrong with these scoring tables. I'm going ahead. So I hired him. And within 2 weeks, I fired him. The areas I was told he would not do well in, he did horrible in. But he interviewed well. Yeah, great. And so that was the last time I ever overrode the test results. I learned my lesson in a hurry, and I should have known better. Sometimes, and you know, here's the lesson in that. Sometimes we're so eager to fill a position that we try to bypass the processes and procedures that we have put into place to make sure to try to get the right people. This mistake cost me a bundle, mostly in my company's reputation, because it just meant I was going longer now without a permanent manager, and frankly, my customers were getting restless. And so, this was one I'm telling on myself. One of Zig Ziglar's things is, the kid comes home from school and does his homework and he's, he gets it to his father, and his dad says, you missed this question. So the kid goes back and starts redoing and he comes back to Dad and he says, you're still wrong. And he says, no, I'm not. The book is wrong. The book must be wrong. And that's what I thought here. The scoring test must be wrong, because how could I be wrong? Well, I was. The other thing, the other example that I want to tell you quickly about was my staff was needing to hire a salesperson in one of our cities, one of our Midwestern cities, and they interviewed several candidates, and they called me with that they had made a decision on a candidate with all the right qualifications. And my immediate response was, now keep in mind this was after I'd made my big boo-boo, I said, that's great, send me the profile so I can review it. And I was told that a profile had not been done because there was no need to, because this guy was the real deal. They had found the real deal. I reminded them of our policy. My golly, that's our policy. And who would ever question our policy, right? And with much discussion, they reluctantly proceeded with the questionnaire. I waited a couple of days, called them back on the progress, and was told that that person was no longer a candidate. He was all interview charisma, but his actual personality and ability would not at all match with our company culture. It took a while, but we eventually found a very capable individual, and a hiring mistake was avoided. I recently read a great example of getting caught up in the charisma of individuals and ignoring all the warning signs. And I'm going to kind of read some of this to you, but it comes from a book called Sales Autopsy by Dan Seidman. He tells the story of a business owner who became friends with a person he met at a convention, and they spent countless hours together for the entire week of the convention. Now keep in mind, this was the first time he'd met him. And so at the end of the week, the owner offered his newfound friend the position of national sales manager for his company. He was excited, provided him a company car, a credit card, an expense account, and all the other benefits that a national sales manager should have. He goes on to tell the story of them getting really ready to make a presentation at make a huge proposal to a major prospect. And as they're sitting in the prospect's boardroom, waiting for all of the people to arrive for the presentation, in walk a couple of gentlemen asking his sales manager for identification. After he identified himself, his head was slammed on the table. He was handcuffed and escorted to jail. He was wanted on outstanding drug warrants, physical abuse of a wife and of a girlfriend, and he was thousands of dollars arrears in child support. They didn't make the sale. This is what's tragic about this. They didn't make the sale. The sad truth is the man who was out of business within a year. Trouble like that gets around, and nobody was interested in buying from a company that would hire those type of people. So, what about you? Are you taking the right steps in hiring your people? Particularly your management and your sales staff? They are your culture, they're your image, their reputation to the public. Do you do a profile before making a major hire? It's worth spending the money. Let me suggest that to you. And the book is not wrong. I don't care how experienced you are, because I've been around a long time. And boy, I made a real bad mistake on this one, on that guy. And I thought I could outsmart the test, and I couldn't. So, you can get some real damage to your reputation. There are several outstanding companies that actually produce profiling questionnaires, and a Google search will locate them. I'm not here to promote any one or over the other. It's well worth the time for you to research them. It's well worth the time to make a commitment. And I know it saved me enormous amounts of money and time, and it'll do the same for you. Again, let me say, as I said early on, if you're doing it already, congratulations. If you're not, there won't be a better time to start than right now. Thanks for joining us.
You've been listening to a Tripodcast, short video and audio presentation about important topics in our industry. If you're a current subscriber to the Tripodcast, thank you. We appreciate it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please check it out. It's free and it's easy. Come to www.tripodcast.com, enter your email address on the right-hand column, and click subscribe. We'll send you out a new Tripodcast every Monday morning.